I got this. I'm really excited to try this out, and let's just hope this works. I'm afraid to use my good expensive brushes for applying this because I'm not sure how it will affect the brushes. So I thought that I'll use this one, which I brought from India last time. Oh no! I didn't think of that, which means I can only paint it 2 days from now. I was hoping I could paint it sooner on this. Few days back, I dropped a question sticker in my Instagram stories asking for suggestions on topics that they would like to see on my YouTube channel. One reply that got my attention most was using watercolor ground. I had heard about it before from my best friend Pallavi, but never gave it a second thought then. Seeing this again now reminded me of how she had explained to me about this and suggested core watercolor ground to me. I decided to give this a try. Unfortunately, despite my attempts to find core watercolor ground everywhere, it was out of stock in most places, and so I found the next best thing, which was Daniel Smith watercolor ground. I should have probably used a larger brush for this purpose, but I didn't have any spare larger one. This is the only one I had, this size. I hope it's okay and doesn't leave any brush marks. But I've covered 2 of these canvases now, and I've got it all over my hands. I've had these for so long. I had thought that I'll do gouache and acrylics on these, but I'm gonna try it out with this watercolor ground. I think it'll give us a very good perspective on how it acts on a surface that has no tooth or texture like the canvas has. And if it works, I think we can literally paint on any surface with watercolors. I added another coat to this one 2 days back, but I didn't record it, and it's been around 36 hours now and both canvas literally feels dry. Guys, this is just incredible. I mean, just look at this. Everything is just so soft and subtle. And one thing I observed was this thing, I mean, whatever is there on the surface, the watercolor ground, it stays wet for a long time. I mean, you know, when I'm teaching my classes, my students say that they have a lot of difficulty to keep the paper wet for a longer duration of time. I think maybe this is the answer to all of that, watercolor ground. And the thing is, maybe if you buy just this one bottle, you could paint on any surface, right? I mean, you could apply on other surfaces. Okay, before we comment on that, I think we should try on that wooden board that I applied. And if this works, then this is like a huge achievement. I think it's gonna save a lot of money for a lot of people. I mean, you could save up on the framing and buying paper, because paper is so expensive. Wow, look at how that's spreading. Oh my god. If you've ever tried to paint on a wooden surface, then you might know how difficult it is to paint on a wooden surface. But this one is just amazing. I wanted to see how masking fluid behaves on this ground, because many times there are paintings where using masking fluid is unavoidable. So I decided to apply masking fluid on the canvas to see the outcome. Every one of us artists have at some point in life faced that mental exhaustion, feel unable to create art, or feel demotivated, or even unable to find new ideas to paint. If you are feeling this, then you're going through art block, and it is definitely depressing if you rely on your art for your income. Remember, you are not alone to feel this. You may feel like there are loads of ideas swimming around inside your head, but none of them seem worth pursuing. If you've ever felt like this before, you know how frustrating it feels. But before you try to find out how you can overcome an art block, it is important to find out the main reasons for the art block. Be it mental stress or physical exhaustion, remember to try and relax your mind and take good care of yourself. You may be stressed from your job, so you come home feeling exhausted and uninspired. In addition, you may be putting too much pressure on yourself to create a masterpiece. Or you might be comparing your artwork to other creators online, which damages your self-esteem. The best advice for anyone who's experiencing a creative block is to take a break. Forcing yourself to engage in an activity that's not bringing you joy or fulfillment isn't doing you any good. Relieve yourself from the pressures of posting in social media and simply take a break. Sometimes it will turn out better than you imagined for your art business or creative life. One thing you could try during your break is to pursue another hobby you enjoy, such as reading, music, or yoga. Ideally, you could spend time with your family and friends by doing fun activities together. Whatever you choose to do, make sure you're engaging in some kind of activity that makes you feel happy. This brief break period will help recharge your creative batteries. The next thing you can do is to study your favorite artist's works in order to draw inspiration from their work, or follow some tutorials that they share or classes they take. Simply scroll through Instagram and Pinterest to study different styles. Save the pictures you like to use as reference and try them out when you can. If you have art books, flip through them, get inspired, and learn from other master artists. This little exercise will tell you the elements or the techniques that fascinates you the most. You will surely discover a bunch of new techniques or different ideas that interest you and want to implement in your own artwork. You could also try to paint one of your old artworks again. You could try to correct your mistakes and apply your learnings to improve that painting. This is probably highly satisfactory because you will end up feeling so good about yourself seeing your improvement. It is surely going to boost your morale and build your self-esteem, which definitely is going to bring back your creativity. And if you don't seem to find any improvement, analyze the paintings and try to find out where are the areas that you need to focus your attention on. One way or other, this exercise is a huge stress buster for you in many ways. My last suggestion would be to try something new. Try out some new art supplies or a medium that you have never tried before. Trying out a different medium than your usual one may not really interest you, but even then, this exercise will increase your artistic knowledge a lot. And who knows, this may even be a life-changing moment for you. Just like I'm trying this new thing today, you can find 1,000 things to try out and spark that creativity of yours. I wasn't going through any art block today, but trying out new things is certainly something that I enjoy a lot. Let me tell you my honest opinion. So I didn't need to have added 2 layers of the watercolor ground on this one because this one turned out just fine, and look how pretty it is. So the wet on wet technique worked fine, the masking fluid worked fine, and all of the watercolor techniques that I tried on this worked just fine and came out just as I had expected it. I think this literally changes everything for me because there's just so many canvases here that's just lying around, and I thought that I would paint with acrylics on it, but I'm not that fond of acrylics. I mean, I like to paint with acrylics now and then, but for me it takes twice the amount of time to paint with acrylics than with watercolors. So I just feel that this makes the whole process a lot easier for me. I mean, I'm just thinking why I never tried this out before. So if you ask me, this is absolutely wonderful method for you to paint with watercolors on a canvas. I mean, just think about the possibility of how big you can go, because with watercolors you're limited by the paper size, especially if you want to paint large. The largest piece of paper that you can get is the imperial size, otherwise you would have to get the rolls and cut it out. But with canvases you can literally make big canvases and you can paint watercolors with them. I mean, I'm not saying that I would go and paint such large paintings, but this changes a lot because of the fact that you don't have to frame your paintings. This is already in a framed format and you could literally use any kind of canvases as well. So one thing I would like to discuss about is how you would protect your painting, because this is watercolors, unlike acrylics or other mediums such as oil, which when dried is almost safe. Watercolors is not, because it can get activated by water again. So you can apply varnish on the top of it, but make sure that the varnish that you apply is not water-based or doesn't have any water content in it. So I guess there are a few brands that does provide watercolor varnishes. I'll find them out and I'll list them in the description below. I don't have it right now, so I'm not mentioning in the video. But the other thing is, if you apply varnish on top of your canvas and you're thinking of exhibiting your watercolor painting somewhere, you have to mention that, because there might be some societies or some people that might not accept those paintings, thinking that it's not traditional watercolors because you've got varnish on top of it. So it's just some extra precautions that I'm telling you about, but I'm pretty sure that there will be so many people who would be ready to accept watercolors on a canvas, you know, and with varnish on it. So you could apply like a gloss varnish and it would shine because of how vibrant the watercolor paints are. I've talked about art block and how you can possibly come out of it. And I hope you enjoyed this little vlog on using watercolor crowns. I think it changes everything for a watercolor artist if you want to paint on canvases. So this is what you need to get. So I was actually looking for the QOR, Core Watercolor Ground. They also have it in cold pressed format. And I in fact went through the whole of YouTube to find if there was any tutorial or something that discussed all of these crowns so that I can choose the best one out of it. And I found one video. If I find it in my history, I'll put the link to it in the description below so that you can choose the best watercolor ground I want. And out of it, I chose this one, the Daniel Smith Watercolor Ground, because it felt more smoother and catering to my needs as a watercolor artist, how I love to paint with watercolors, of course. But you might be loving some other techniques, or you might want it to bleed out a lot. Then there are other brands, of course, so you can check that out as well and see which one suits you the most. But I really would recommend trying this out, watercolor ground. It's just really amazing, which makes it easy for you to paint on any surface, literally, not just canvas, because you saw me trying out on a wooden board and it worked. You can try it out on other surfaces, and if you do, let me know, and let me know in the comments down below. I know I should have added more details into this one, but I was just experimenting with the wet on wet technique because I was sure that wet on dry is gonna work out anyway. So wet on wet was what I was confused about, and see how gorgeously the clouds spread and I was able to get the perfect wet on wet technique. I just love this. Don't forget to like this video to show your support, and also let me know in the comments down below what you think about this watercolor ground, and of course about my vlogging style, if you like them or not. And I'll see you in my next video. So this is Geethu signing off. Bye bye.